I'm on coffee today. Okay, let's start. We're gonna learn a little, do a shtickle weiter, shtickle chazara, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about Kinyan, because again, after spending Shabbos, God bless you, thank you so much. After spending Shabbos with the Kinyan Chavra and hearing, I'm telling you, I mean, I've been in yeshiva for many years, but hearing the musagim, the concepts of what the Chavra are doing in the world of Chazara and how they know Gemaras, we have to open our minds a little bit. But let's get there. Let's first get a little.
They got lost.
No, they're there. We're here. Baruch Hashem, we're here. Okay, Rebelli, you're good. You'll only get abused for like a week. You know the way it goes.
I love it.
With love. You know that.
Of course.
Gavaldik. Okay, let's go. We're gonna start. We started last week a difficult shtickle Gemara about Yadois. That's what we're going to start again. The Omar Rav Abba, Omar Rav Huna. It's really going to be a little chazara, these few lines. And hopefully by then a few more people will be here. And then we're going to talk a little bit about how I think we're going to upgrade ourselves. And the Siyata de Shemaya, it's going to be Gavaldik. V'Omar Rav Abba, we're about, let's call it 15 lines down. The first one line is the Lesnayu Dami. V'Omar Rav Abba, Omar Rav Huna. Haboitzer legas. One is harvesting grapes for the gas. Rav David Erev Tov. Harvesting grapes for the wine breast. Says the Gemara, in loy yadlis. Does not have a din of a yad, of a handle. What does that mean? I want to explain the job further than I said last week. Every food, let's call it an apple. If I touch the apple when I'm tummy, the apple becomes tummy. Let's say I pick up the apple from the stem. That is called a yad. A yad literally is a handle. If I pick up the apple from the stem, the apple also becomes tummy. That's a din of a yad lituma. Says the Gemara, but when you're harvesting grapes, not to eat. If you were to you go to a vine, I guess it's called, and you pluck off a whole plush cluster to eat, then even if you only touch the vine and you're tummy, the grapes become tummy. But let's say the reason, I'm stuck inside the floor. Let's say the reason that you're harvesting it is for why? It's to make wine, not to eat. Then there's no din of yad, meaning the vine will not give off toma. Why not? So we saw Rashi last week so beautifully. And Rashi explains that the reason is, do you want the vine when you're making wine? Absolutely not. What does the vine do? The vine makes your wine crunchy, number one. We don't like crunchy wine. Number two, sour. Number three is it takes up precious space. Every dot of wine, especially, the way they made wine wasn't so simple. Sitting there in the bathtub, jumping on top of the wine, every dot is precious. So if a little bit of wine is absorbed by your vine, that's not gishmak. So abayitzer legas ein lo yadois. Give up. Rav Nasha bar Gada Amar Rav Huna, hakoitzer l'schach. If you're cutting down wheat, and us farmers didn't fully understand this, Rabbi Shuster, you seem to have been a little bit of a better farmer last week, knowing which part was the kernel and which part was the stalk. I still haven't figured it out. It's been many, many times I've Googled it, and I've looked at the picture, and I got it, and I still have no clue. But if you're cutting down wheat to use as chach, so the kernel is the food part. So what are you touching? You're touching the stalk part. By touching the stalk part, does it give off toma to the kernel? Says the Gemara, ein loy yadois. There's also no din of yadois. Why not? Because the food part is mekabel toma, which is pasul for schach. The stalk part is not mekabel toma, kosher for schach. So do you want the food part there? No, it's pasul for schach. Therefore, there's no din of yadis. Which part is tummy, anyways?
The kernel.
Only if you touch it. Only it's mekabel tuma. Question is, if I'm tummy and I touch the stalk, does it give off tuma up to the kernel? Says the Gemara, no. There's no din of yadis. That called a handle, meaning doesn't give off tuma. So says the Gemara, man diamar koitzer kol shekin boitzer. If you hold this second case, in the case of the schach, there's no din of yadais. Certainly, there's no din of yadais by the wine, by the grapes. Why? You're not happy You're not happy that the vine will absorb the wine. And in case sometimes the Chaver been asking, like, these are very funny words. How do I know the translation? So the real answer is, anyone sit next to me, you can see that it's all written in my Gemara. This is called high school. And everyone's Gemara could look the same. It's called a pencil or a pen. They gave out beautiful pencils last night. I was a little bit sad they didn't give out pens. I'm more of a pen guy. But either way, that was earlier. I have an extra one if you want. It's going to absorb the wine. According to the opinion that says that if you harvest the grapes, however, when you cut down the wheat for schach, why? Because there's an element of the kernel that you're happy about. The lisachbu. Why? Because without the kernel, it's just going to scatter and fly away. So the kernel at some level is good for you, and therefore the machlekes will only go one way. Erev Tov, Rabbi Kogis Jr. That's a quick chazar of the Gemara we did last week. I actually want to pause here. I want to spend a few minutes. I know we didn't learn so much further. I want to talk